Introducing to you first, out of the blue corner, he represents Hassett's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He hails from Swedesboro, New Jersey, and weighed in at 130 pounds. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Andrew the Pride Richardson.
During the tail end of March and the start of April, we followed Andrew Richardson through his pro MMA debut. A 4-1 amateur, Andrew trains out of Team Alpha Male in Sacramento, California. Andrew was born and raised in Swedesboro, New Jersey, and trained at Hassett's Jiu-Jitsu Club until he graduated high school. Now he calls Sacktown home, and Uriah Faber is coach.
So I started training in Jiu-Jitsu when I was 13. I was just kind of out of shape and wasn't really doing anything, besides video games and hanging out. So I got involved in like 8th grade, and I fell in love with Jiu-Jitsu pretty fast and was there, 4 or 5 days a week, every week, not long after. And then I knew, not long after I started getting more into watching fights, and I knew pretty fast that I wanted to do that someday.
It's similar to that. Yeah.
Early in the day, since Andrew didn't have to cut much weight, we just enjoyed the city, and he grabbed some post-fight snacks. When we arrived, we found out his opponent may not even show up to the weigh-ins, so he wouldn't know who he's fighting until the night of. It was a sports bar bowling alley combo, and we had no idea what was going on in the moment. We waited for a while. Andrew dropped off his money from selling tickets, and then they finally let him weigh in. For a 145-pound fight, Andrew weighed in at 141 pounds. Before fight day, we sat down and talked about how he connected with MMAmania.
So MMAmania, when I was 16, just before I turned 17, I was really excited because Joseph Benavidez, one of my favorite UFC fighters at the time and now one of my best friends, honestly, he was fighting Mighty Mouse for the first time for the inaugural flyweight title. That was the weight class that I hope to someday compete in. And I was just really excited for his fight, and other people had in the fan post sections written, skill analysis and little breakdowns and stuff, and it was semi-popular and that, so I wanted to try my hand at it, so I wrote, 1,200 words or so on Joe Benavidez and jammed in some GIFs to make it work. And Tommy had Jesse message me and say that if I could do it consistently, he'd get me on the payroll. And that's how I got my start in doing the fighter breakdowns. And then when I moved out here, I started doing the previews and reviews that make up most of my time. But I still do the breakdowns, and I think they're a lot better than they were when I started when I was 16.
Fight day started with some warm-ups and workouts. Andrew said that's his routine for fights, to avoid being cold the day of. Andrew got a few boxing rounds in with coach Joey Rodriguez. They went over their basic combinations and basic issues he saw in Andrew. Coach Rodriguez kept things simple and let it all flow. When it was all done, Coach gave him some encouraging words, and Andrew went to do some bag work. After a while, Andrew called it and said his goodbyes to the team before the fight. And Andrew Jordan, Andrew's girlfriend, and I headed to the pre-fight meal at Jack's Urban Eats. There he explained how he was feeling and how he handles food on fight day.
I'm good. It's always a little weird eating the day of, just because you're supposed to, I was told a while ago by we had a Lockhart come in and do a thing, a seminar kind of deal. And he told Justin Buchholz that you can pretty much eat whatever you want 5 or 6 hours before the fight. Just eat a bunch, which is why I got pretty good turkey and mashed potatoes and some veggies. Just eat a lot, and then snack up to the fight. I'm about 5-6 hours away, so pretty sure I'm following the rules. But it's good to eat, but at the same time, I don't like to feel full when I'm fighting. It's no good. No matter how calm you are, there's some nerves. And I don't like to have a full stomach.
How far are we out now?
5 and a little bit hours.
We went on an adventure at Target to get Andrew's hair products to braid his hair before the fight, something Andrew totally did not want to do at the time. Though the products were acquired, eventually, Jordan and Andrew grabbed Starbucks and we headed to Andrew's apartment to prepare for braiding. Andrew started to get a little bit quieter and sort of napped during the hair prep. It seemed he was slowly getting into his zone. After the hair was done, he napped a little bit, and we got on the road and headed to the venue. Andrew had become a bit more reserved as we started coming to the event. He never stopped being friendly or lighthearted, but reality set in, and we still had no idea who he was fighting. We met up with his teammates from Team Alpha Male who were also fighting on the card. Soon they let fighters in to feel out the cage. Andrew's good friend and teammate Andrew Coyne got in there and started to get comfortable. They felt the mat and the give of the cage.
Yeah, man, for a second, feels good. Noticed the corners of the cage have a ton of give, so I drove Bulldog into a single leg and it pushes his hips to even. It'd be really easy to switch to a double in that.
The stage was set, and soon the casino ballroom would be packed with people cheering his name. Then we started our long amounts of waiting. We were led to the locker rooms in the back, and got into the room and built a Team Alpha Male cubby in the back for all the fighters there. So began the cameos of Team Alpha Male alumni supporting their guys. While Andrew got his hands wrapped in small talk strategy with Coach Joey, guys like UFC vets Hector Sandoval and Teruto Ishihara showed up to support their team.
He has the blue. I'll go check for you right now.
Open. No, I didn't see this.
It's always like that.
After a bit, fighters were called into the rules meeting, and missing fighters were checked out to see who had not made it in.
James Chamberlain. Here. Andrew Coyne. Trevor Pete.
One of the fight organizers told Andrew he was up soon, and he went back to start warming up with Coach Joey and the guys. Andrew was the first fight that night, so after warming up, they ran in and grabbed us. They put us in a kitchen lobby opposite side our opponent, but there were other guys warming up there, so we were still not clear who Andrew was fighting just yet. Andrew was pacing, getting amped up, clenching his jaw and biting down on his mouthpiece. This is peak nerves for Andrew. Even then, he seems to have it down. This is not his first rodeo. His opponent gets called in, and we can finally tell who it is, and everyone perks up a little bit. He holds himself with a calmness, the whole time even cracking jokes with Coach. We all know it's go time. It takes a while for them to get him in there. Then the national anthem plays before Andrew walks out. Then we go out.
Take your time.
Yeah, baby.
Let's go, baby. Enjoy the short walk. Wait, that's all you got.
Hey, DJ!
Let's go, baby. Wow, that's his couch. You got a bucket for me? Now hit.
Again, go back.
Yep.
Send the punch.
Step back and do it again.
Send the punch. Back in the head.
Oh, punch him again. No. Step back and punch.
There you go.
Control.
Elbows.
Control. Fly him out. No. Fly him out. All right. Hey, get the mountain right there. All right.
Plenty of time.
Yep. Yeah, push it up. Show them his face. All right. Let's get him out of there. Good. All right. Andrew,
Hold it down.
Push
Hold
the
it
head.
down.
Push and pull. Yeah. Okay, shut him out. Choke him.
Sock him up. Soften, yeah.
All right.
Keep going, he'll quit.
You got it, bro.
Get him on the body real hard. Let him know. There you go.
At the end, the referee waved it off, but it was a little confusing at first if he had stopped it. It was a dominant performance from Andrew.
What happened? Is it over?
The fight's over, huh? Oh, okay.
Hey. You hurt him with that right hand. Good.
The body check. Oh, it's over.
What's up, Doc? How you doing? He almost went.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 56 seconds into round number 1, your winner, on TKO, Andrew Richardson.
The team stopped to get some photos, and then he walked out. There's a massive amount of relief on his face. His family and his friends from the crowd cheer to him, and he embraces his teammates who came out to support him.
And now, introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner. This fight stands 5 feet, 5 inches.
We get to the lobby, and he embraces his girlfriend Jordan, and more teammates. We got out of the event pretty quickly, with some cameos from Nate Diaz, but we weren't filming. We ran to Andrew's post-fight ritual of getting Krispy Kreme donuts after the fight. There we celebrated with teammates and his friends. I sat both him and his teammate Andrew Coyne down for a post-fight interview.
Road Nuts, Bull Nuts 3-0 now.
Yeah.
We did that once back in the day.
What do you see as your goal next? Like, what's the plan next?
I mean, realistically, my next fight or next 2 fights are going to be at Gladiator Challenge or Thunder Valley Casino or you know, the promotion. Sometimes they run shows down in Southern California. But and then after that, you know, I'm gonna try to get on some local shows that have better competition. So that's my next, you know, year and a half. It's hard to get fights consistently, so I'm hoping for 3 this year. That's my goal at the very least.
Same question for you. What's the goal going forward now that you're 2-0?
Goal going forward is to get another fight in May or June, and then one more at the end of the year in October, November. That'll probably be my last fight at Gladiator Challenge, being it was my second fight with them. Plan to fight for a different promotion in May or June, and then possibly fight for them again October, November, but that'd be the last time if I did.
How, in the moment, how did it feel out there? What was the, like, you've done amateur fights, but now the pro thing was going on. How did you actually feel?
I mean, backstage, you know, there was definitely nerves of not knowing anything, not knowing the opponent, I knew I was up basically 2 weight classes, so I knew the guy was going to be bigger than me, and I knew he was probably going to be not so good, but there was a lot of iffiness there too. He could have been, you know, a lot tougher than he was, and so I was kind of prepared for that mentally, and then once I saw him and I kind of figured how the fight would go, relaxed a little bit, but still tried to stay intense because sometimes I relax too much. So I was trying to keep that, you know, little bit of anxiety to keep me in that mindset of, you know, intense, do damage, get him out of there. And I think I carried that into the fight. Like I said, I was throwing hard shots and trying to do damage early. And then once kind of ended up on the side of him and slammed him, and I was on top and in complete control,
then I kind of really settled down. I knew the fight was over. I just kind of pitter-pattered his arms until they stopped it, because I knew the fight was done. I know if I get a really good guy in that flattened out back position, that they're not going to get away from me. So I knew it was over by that point, and I think I was calm enough, collected enough to recognize that I didn't have to just keep hammering away, that the fight was pretty much done.
That's good. You, yeah. Not about like your future, not about your mistakes, but like how did you like feel in that moment? Like what was going through your head, all that. Same thing.
So, like I said already, I'm not very happy at the beginning of the fight. When I was on bottom, he was throwing strikes. They weren't landing to where I was being rocked, but it was definitely like oh shit, like I need to advance position or defend or reverse here, or else the fight could potentially be stopped if that would have kept going on. So I went in more of a not panic mode, but like get my shit together mode, and was able to. And then after, was still very upset about that situation, but at the end of the day, I am happy that I got the win.
Okay. Anything y'all want to say? Like your bros, you did it.
Yeah.
Like,
Dude, it's awesome to be on the same card as Bulldog again. The last time I was 19, we fought on the same night down in this terrible middle ass nowhere in Merced. And I choked out the guy in like 40 seconds, and Bulldog threw around this grown man who had like 3 kids with him when he was like 18 or 19.
Yeah.
So, dude, we had a great time, and I'm happy to be doing it again. I had trouble getting fights for a little while, and Bulldog was just beating dudes up the whole time. So, I'm glad to be semi back on track. 3-0 pro between us.
Yeah.
It's just cool.
It's always always super cool getting to fight with my brother and teammate Road Dogg here. That was a cool experience down in Fresno, Merced area, and tonight was another cool experience overall. And I look forward to many years down the road doing the same thing at the highest level, UFC, Bellator, whatever it is. I feel like we both would be eventually on the same card at that high level, both getting big wins and still putting in all the work like we have at this time too. So.
okay. Last question.
Okay.
What are we doing for the fight breakdowns?
All right, so
Are we going to hear more coin?
dude, we can get
Bulldog,
Coin to
sorry.
talk, Bulldog to talk, but
The fans are calling for it.
the next but the next fighter breakdown that we have to do at some point is Habib and Tony Ferguson. And we're gonna do some Tony Ferguson intercepting strikes. Guys coming in. Tony has those elbows and those snap kicks that he stops people from pressuring him with, and they really can take a toll on you. Then Habib, I think we're gonna go over that. I've been saving it for him, honestly. I could have gone over for a couple other people, but that 2-on-1 control from behind. He lifts, he slams, he gets that 2-on-1, then he just beats the life out of you. And our one wrestling coach, Alexander Munoz, has talked a lot about some of the finer details of that, so I'm going to just quote him and copy some of his information into my video.
And will we hear the Bulldog talk?
If the fans want to hear me talk, then I'll
Fuck
talk.
yeah.
So.
The following morning, we went to Lake Folsom with Andrew's family. There, everyone just hung out, walked around the lake, and enjoyed the beautiful weather. Everyone was clearly relieved, and it was like a celebration, just casually hanging out. Then we headed back into town. It was time for Andrew to get his tattoo. The tattoos Andrew got were paying homage to some of his favorite bands, the Velvet Underground and the Beatles. We closed the day with Andrew coaching boxing and then playing spikeball with the students and Andrew Coyne. This was a fitting end to the adventure with Andrew. He was hanging out, enjoying himself, and relaxing finally after all the build-up that led up to the fight. You could see at the end of this, Andrew loves what he does. This is his dream, and it's real. For many people I've seen, They're always half in, half out. But this is really Andrew's dream.